What's going on, America? This is Kevin from Kevin's Corner, coming at you again with some hot stuff right off the press. Hit you with a little bit of Batman when the Joker said, "Stop the press." Who is that? Vicky Vale. Vicky Vale. Yeah, that was one of the best Batman. I think that was Michael Keaton. You ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight? Yeah, hit you with a little bit of Jack Nicklaus. Anyway, but I'm out to hit you with something else too. First thing I want to hit you with is my sponsor, Extreme Tees. Check out the t-shirts. They have t-shirts for men, women, kids, aliens, you name it. They got it all. So check out their link. It's in the bottom, and you can find them. Peruse their site, see what all they got, and I'm sure you'll find something to your liking. But now, I want to talk about something serious. Yesterday, I talked about the violence that's coming from the left, and yet none of the leaders are saying anything. Nobody's stepping it up saying, "What are y'all doing? Stop it, break it up." Usually adults or leaders in our community or in government should be the responsible ones. It would be kind of like you being a teacher and you on the playground and you see a couple little dudes out there just scrapping, and you sit back watching like, "Hey, look at these little dudes over here fighting, man. They throwing down, man." Now I know everything and you might want to do that. Because, I've been a teacher before where I've seen a fight start, especially if it's a kid that kind of been getting on my nerves and they get in the business. I might take an extra route to get to it to break it up, allow him to get a couple more of these, before I get there. But normally, like I said, I step in, I'm like, "Hey, whoa, everybody chill, man. I can't let y'all just sit there and be scrapping and I'm the adult around, okay? So I'm supposed to be the leader, the person that steps in and says, break it up. But the Democrats are supposed to be the leaders of our cities, our state, and all that stuff, of one half at least. I ain't saying that, for me, they just stink. But for some people, it's like, well, they're congressmen, they're whatever. But they're horrible. Not only at the job, but at just being able to step up and say, "Guys, stop all the violence." But so I was sitting there last night and I started wondering, what could make us go down this path so quickly? Just 2 years ago, before President Trump got in office, everything was relatively cool. We weren't hearing about white nationalists and Nazis and white supremacists are taking over and all of that stuff. We didn't see Antifa running around, tearing up stuff. We didn't see people attacking congressmen, shooting congressmen. We didn't see people shouting at people that's eating in restaurants. All of this stuff just kind of came out of nowhere. And the question I have is, was it simply in us, just kind of suppressed and hidden? Or did something drastically change the behavior of a large amount of people in America? I think I found the answer, everyone. And it's the Democrats and the liberal media. Now, what am I saying? Okay. Now, as an adult and somebody who knows just a little bit about psychology, there are people that are so, I would say, uninformed, sometimes even weak-minded, or just emotionally driven enough to where people can manipulate them and create this image in somebody's mind that they're either being attacked, they are falsely being accused, they have to step up and defend themselves and their rights when really nothing is happening. And to understand this, you kind of look at maybe a group of kids. If there was a group of kids out there and they're all playing on the playground, and an adult want to start a war between them all because their minds aren't developed and mature enough, it's easy to do. All you got to do is go over to a couple of them and say, "Hey, those kids over there, they don't like you. They was talking about you. They said, you know what? When I see them on the playground tomorrow, I'm going to kick their butt." What? Well, then you tell them that when they see me, then I'm going to kick their butts too. You want me to go tell? I'm gonna go tell them. And then you keep doing that, but because they're too young and immature emotionally and mentally, for whatever reason, they start developing this animosity towards the other group of kids, even though the other group of kids didn't have nothing to do with it. But now you done created this image, this false perception in their mind, and now they feel like we gotta scrap. And next you know, they on the playground duking it out like the old school Irish. By the way, you see the dog of color in the background? Dog of color. Say hello. Dog of color. There he is. Anyway, getting back to what I was saying. So now, you look at the left right now going crazy. Went crazy out of nowhere. They went from 0 to 60 in 2 years. to where you can't even walk around and say, man, I voted for Trump, or I'm rocking a Make America Great hat, or be on your job and you sitting there like, I better keep my mouth quiet. They all around the cooler bashing the president, and I can't even step in and say, man, y'all sound ridiculous, because I might get bounced up out of here. So the question I have is, how did they get to that point? Now, here's what I think, and actually what I know. When you are dealing with a lot of liberals or people who've been voting Democrat for a long time, prior to this election, maybe it wasn't as clear or prominent that the left uses a large amount of emotional and mental manipulation. Okay, now people that are not, say, emotionally mature enough to see through it, and mentally mature enough to see the mind game that's being played, they're susceptible to all of this stuff. Now, I want you to imagine something, okay? Because I happen to think that a lot of conservatives think differently. You know, notice conservatives, we don't go out talking about we're gonna go and protest because we're not even gonna look at facts. We're just gonna just say, you know what? I got a gut feeling that this is injustice, so I'm just gonna ride right past all the facts. I'm on a freeway and I see signs that says facts, but I'm going right to the protest, and I don't want to see those signs. Yeah, get me to the protest, man. You know, normally conservatives will stop and say, well, let's check it out first. Let's not jump before we look. Okay, let's not become all emotional and all that stuff. Let's not get on TV shouting down people, calling them names. You know, this usually isn't a tactic from conservatives. Usually it's, well, let's talk about the situation. Let's debate it. Let's talk about the pros, the cons, things like that. Those are reasonable thinkers. Even people that were liberal but converted to being a conservative, it trains your brain to start thinking differently. One, you start seeing the tactics of the left. And you can't unsee those. Once you see it, you can't unsee it, okay? Then two, not only are you able to see them, but you're able to start thinking critically. You're not sitting back going, let me just jump at everything I see on the news, because I have now been able to see how they all work together. And they all come up with false narratives, and they all have an agenda. So we think differently and we approach situations differently. So I want you to imagine if the things that they accusing Donald Trump and his followers or his voters of doing was really true, okay? Think about what they've accused him of. They called him Hitler. Hitler, the man who was responsible for killing 6 million Jews, the guy who manipulated all of those Germans and said we should kill anybody who doesn't have blonde hair and blue eyes, and yet he himself did not have blonde hair and blue eyes. I would have probably been like, you know what, why don't we start with you? Yeah, but nobody said that. That just went right over their heads, you know. That is mass manipulation at its best. Kind of like what the Democrats do, where they sit back and they throw these narratives out that they themselves are guilty of. But the people who follow the Democrats, they don't even question that. Yeah, they just go right over their heads. You know, Donald Trump colluded with the Russians, even though Hillary paid for, you know, information from the Russians with the fake phony dossier. But they don't, that's not important. That's neither here nor there, because a lot of liberals, they don't think critically. They don't stop and say, that doesn't make sense. That they would accuse him of something that they did. Then that means if anybody should be investigated, it should be them. See, so they accuse the man of Hitler, okay, being Hitler. Everybody knows that Hitler is the standard. He's the poster child of evil. So when you get compared to him, there's really hardly anywhere else you can go. Now, frankly, you know, you might be able to slide to Stalin. They've accused him of being like Stalin. Stalin responsible for 20 million people dying. Then they compared him to magnanimous events that took place, like the attack of 9/11, which killed 2,996 Americans, okay, and injured more than 6,000 Americans. But they're comparing him to this. Now imagine a emotionally immature person listening to this, and it's being bombarded every day, all day in their heads. They watching the news as soon as it come on. This guy right here, he's just tearing up the whole country. He's like Hitler. He's like Stalin. This is worse than 9/11. The worst things you can imagine. Then they called him, he's racist against Mexicans. He hates Muslims. Every group you could think of, they have now demonized him towards. They even compared him to magnanimous events like Pearl Harbor, which killed 2,335 Americans and injured over 1,143, just wounded. But yet, President Trump hasn't injured anybody, hasn't killed nobody, hasn't said, you know what, let's go ahead and invoke martial law because we want to make sure that everybody in America is upper class, rich white men. You know, he hasn't done any of those things, but yet they're throwing this out there like this is a fact. Now, remember, if you ain't emotionally mature, if your core ain't hard, your little soft core, you know, if you're a little humanitarian and you're looking for, you know, a cause and you're like, people should be treated justly, then now people sense that and they said, we could take advantage of this guy or this girl's kindness. So now they hit him with that. He's a racist. He hates Mexicans. Who else does he hate? He hates Muslims. Who else does he hate? He hates black people. They don't give you any of the supporting data that shows that he interacted with Muslims, black people, had a black girlfriend for 3 years. Yeah, that's right. Donald Trump played in the swirl for 3 straight years. You don't do that as a racist, okay? But nonetheless, they don't want to talk about those things. So they bang it into the brains of everybody. He's a racist. He hates everybody. Oh, how about this one? He's down with the Ku Klux Klan, but we don't have any pictures of him with them. No phone logs, nothing. He ain't showed up in those meetings. He ain't pulled the hood off like, yep, I finally got in the White House, y'all. We gonna do some damage. Yeah, nothing. But yet they just throw it out there like it's a fact. Yeah, he supports the KKK. He supports white nationalists. Never been to one meeting. You know, it's just ironic that all of a sudden, after all these years now, he supports white nationalists. Waited 72 years, decide to come out and be like, you know what? I'm finally arrived here at the White House, so I'm going to go ahead and reveal everybody. Open up his shirt. White nationalists. See? Yeah, I told her. Didn't I tell you I get there? Didn't I tell you? Yeah. No data whatsoever, but they banging it into people's head. What about this? Oh, he's a Nazi. Yeah, he's a Nazi. Worst people on the planet. It's hard to compare people to Nazis, but they're doing it. Oh, how about this one? He's a traitor, treasonous, punishable by death. Yeah, how about this? He's an animal. The one lady on MSNBC, no, she's on, I think, CNN, the one that be like, he's a man baby. Yeah, got mad when Donald Trump called MS-13 animals, which that's a title that they rightfully deserve, but then forgot that she had called him an animal too. Yeah, they called him animal. They called him, they say he hates gays. Now, they are doing something very strategic. They're now demonizing him in every category or group of people, which is called identity politics, y'all. Okay, meaning the group that you can identify with, you can hang with, they want y'all all to stick together and adopt the same view, same mentality, and say, we got to unite and fight against this at any means necessary. So they don't say Americans, you know, it's little groups. They don't want us to look at each other as Americans. It's nope. Let's not. That's why we want to tear down everything that represents unity about America. No, flag, we don't want that. No, national anthem, scratch that. No, we America first. Just look at your small individual group and say that's what needs to be first. So now they said that the man hates gays, he hates women, you know, even though he's hired so many women in under his leadership. How about this? He's a dictator who wants to silence the media, but they never say the fake news. And even though they say he wants to silence them, yet nobody's kicked down the door of the media and drug him out and took him out back and shot him or nothing and jailed him. None of that stuff. You know, he didn't even surveil them like Obama did. You know, he didn't even wiretap them. He didn't even go ahead and indict them. Nothing. That was all done under the prior regime. You know, that's prior regime. But he's never done that. But yet they deem him to be this type of person. Then they say things like he's unhinged. Yeah, negative terms like that. Meaning, who wouldn't be afraid if they thought the leader of the free world was unhinged? You don't want nothing unhinged. If you open your door right now and it just fall down, you're going to be mad. Like, my door is unhinged. I need a door that's stable, okay? Same thing when it comes down to the president. You don't want a president that's unhinged, right? They said he's unhinged, mentally unfit, like he's just in the White House scratching and itching and looking around like, you hear that? Well, no, Mr. President, I ain't hear it. Why not? You don't see that? You don't see them spiders on the wall? No, Mr. President, are you okay? Maybe. Am I? You tell me. I don't know. Like he's just straight crazy up in the White House. Yeah, you know, so they said the man's mentally unfit. They said he's dangerous to the world, not just Americans. They said that this man has his finger on the button and he's susceptible to just wake up in the middle of the night like, you know what I feel like doing? Starting a nuclear war tomorrow. Yeah, they said the man can't even think. Then they go on to say, you know what? This man had concentration camps down on the border. Listen to the terminology, y'all. A concentration camp. Even though when real people who were trying to give subjective news, accurate news went down there, it kind of looked like a little resort. I mean, the kids were having a good time. They had ping pong. They had a little bit of volleyball. They had a library, little hair salon, getting their hair clipped up. You know, they were treated pretty good. I don't remember the concentration camps looking like that. But nonetheless, you know, that's what they were trying to paint in the image of people who are not emotionally and mentally mature enough to understand we have been hoodwinked. So now you create this, and then you had somebody on MSNBC had the nerve to say something like this. First, it was CNN. He was talking about the concentration camps that all the kids are in, and he said, and you know what? Now, this is something that's so irresponsible, I couldn't even believe it. He said, and everybody in America should be concerned because it could be your kids next. So here I am, an American citizen who were born here or either came here legally. I set up shop, got my family and kids, and for no reason, Donald Trump decides to send the boys to my house, break down my door, take my kid from me, and stick them in a concentration camp. That's the image that he wants to leave in your mind if you're not mentally and emotionally mature enough to see, hey, they suggesting to me something that's so outlandish that I'm offended that he would think I'm not catching what they're doing. And then, finally, MSNBC was talking about how Donald Trump is not really the president of the free world. You know, it's Angela Merkel. You know, she's the bigger leader than Donald Trump. And then when the lady kind of walked her back a little bit, she said, well, come on now, it's not like, you know, Donald Trump is out there killing people, because the lady tried to say he's in the axis of evil. He's in the same category as Kim Jong-un. He's in the same category as Vladimir Putin, all these people. And the commentator was like, oh yeah, this is getting out of control. Let me try to walk it back a bit. She says, well, I mean, no, he's not out there killing people. And you know what the lady said? Well, he would if he could. Now, imagine if all of those things were true, but yet people like us that are on, say, the right or just emotionally mature enough to understand that this is all false right here. Imagine if you believed that it was true. Now, as a person that's practical, logical, reasonable, do research, try to get an understanding of things, not emotionally driven, not impulsive. As a person like that, I'm able to look at those things and see that all those is just nothing more than rhetoric. That's it. They're all just suggestions. They're lies. They try to manipulate the emotions of people and create this fear, hoping that the people would say, well, we got to vote this guy out. But I want you to just take a thought for a second. You being a reasonable person, if this was really happening and people on the right, which has the intellect, the emotional intellect and the mental intellect to see the truth versus a lie, meaning every day I wake up and I see a guy on TV saying, let's go out, break down doors, and let's kill anybody that doesn't have blonde hair and blue eyes. Or I see a guy on TV and he's talking about, let's round up all black people and let's get them out of here. Or I see it, because see, this is what you should be seeing. If this is what's really happening. See, that's what I'm saying. If he's a dictator, he should be getting on TV saying, go into everybody's house and take their guns. He should be saying things like, bust into the news station, drag them out, and beat them and make an example out of them, what not to do. He should be doing all of that stuff. If he was a real traitor, he should be on TV like, I'm a dictator, so shut your mouths, and here's my buddy Pootie, we're hanging out. Yeah, that's what we're doing. If he was a real dictator, if he was really unhinged, if he was really crazy, he would be doing stuff like, say, Kim Jong-un, who kills leaders out of nowhere, wake up, hey man, you fell asleep in a meeting, take him out back, shoot him. You know, these are real facts that you would be seeing that would line up with all of the accusations. But because people out there are not emotionally mature enough and mentally mature enough to see that that's all it is just a whole bunch of lies and rhetoric, they create this image in their mind that this is really happening. Now, imagine if it was really happening. Practical thinking people, what would we do? If you, as a practical, logical thinking conservative, really saw this type of stuff happening in the world or in America, what would we do? We would have justification to really defend the Constitution. If these things were really happening, we would all be going, let's get together, boys. This is what the Second Amendment was about. It's time, baby. We've been planning for this for years. I would be one of the first. If this stuff was really happening, from a reasonable thinking person, that would say, well, let's see if this is true or not, and we found out that it was true, yes, we would be violent too. But imagine if you dealt all this garbage out to people who are not reasonable, who are very emotional, who are very susceptible to being manipulated from their emotions and their mentality, all of that stuff. Imagine what you would see. You would start to see some of the same things that you would see from us if it was true. See, but that's the difference. It ain't true, but yet they're acting as if it is. They're acting these things out. Now, who's responsible for creating this rhetoric? It ain't coming from the right. We ain't out there saying, you know what? We need to do this by any means necessary. It's a revolution. We ain't out there doing none of that stuff. We're out there saying, what's the big deal? Show me one person that's been killed. Show me one person that's been drug off and taken away. Show me one commentator that's been silenced from Donald Trump. Show me some of the stuff that you are saying is happening. All right? We're not saying, let's go ahead and get violent and go attack all the liberals. We're not even going out and forming groups to go beat up people who probably deserve to get beat up, like Antifa. We're not even doing that. You know, we're sitting back saying, look, man, relax. It's not like they're telling you it is. But the people think it is because they're being manipulated emotionally. So now, hopefully, through this video, me breaking that down, somebody out there will say, well, yeah, why am I screaming, yelling, protesting, showing up, talking about like the one guy trying to stab people, you know, one guy talking about I'm showing up at a Democratic event and I'm shooting up everybody. You know, why am I doing this? Is it really like they're telling me that it is? Because let's be honest, if it was reversed and say any president, Democrat or conservative or Republican, got in office and was doing the things that they're describing right now, who actually embodied every one of these characteristics, guess what? I will tell everybody out there listening, meet me downtown, bring everything, because it's about to go down. So now you can see then that the people who are falsely spewing this out there is creating the same type of panic and anxiety, but they're taking advantage of people who don't have the emotional maturity to decipher from it being reality or it being fiction. And that is where the violence is coming from. And I have to contribute it all to the left. That's right. Liberal media and the Democrats are all responsible for creating all of this violence. And that's why they're all sitting back going, mum's the word. Yeah, we tried to make it look like Donald Trump was the one responsible for all of this. But in reality, it was us. Anyway, you've been listening to Kevin, and Kevin's Corner's video went a little long, but I had to break it down. I had to break it down. I ain't want to just leave y'all, you know. Yeah, I want to break it down. So check me out Wednesday nights, 7:30, Kevin's Corner, live radio blog talk show. Also, you can find me on Facebook, Twitter, and if you want to donate to Kevin's Corner, there's links in the bottom to do so. And if you like these t-shirts, Extreme Tees, my sponsor, great shirts, check the link out in the bottom. That'll show you where to get them. God bless you. Find you next time in Kevin's Corner. Peace. You want to say something, Sammy? Caesar? No? Everybody okay? Okay, all right then. God bless. Take care.